Prince William's grand appearance at COP30 in Brazil was designed to be his global breakthrough, the moment he'd step out from behind palace walls and present himself as a future world leader. But instead of applause, it triggered one of the biggest online backlashes he's faced in years. His speech, filled with phrases about shared responsibility and urgent action, was supposed to sound noble. Yet the irony hit people immediately. How could a man who arrived on a private jet and whose family's carbon footprint rivals that of a small nation lecture the public about sustainability? Within hours, clips of the speech flooded social media. GB News uploaded it, expecting admiration. What they got was an avalanche of outrage. Comment sections turned into open forums of frustration, ordinary citizens calling out privilege disguised as purpose. One user summed up the sentiment perfectly. Why can't he just open a Zoom call? Why burn thousands of gallons of jet fuel to tell us to recycle? That comment alone gathered thousands of likes, because it said what everyone was thinking. What makes this moment so explosive isn't the content of William's speech, it's the context. The royal family has spent decades positioning itself as a moral compass, but the public has evolved. They now measure credibility not by speeches, but by consistency. And William's actions simply don't match his words. For years, the palace has promoted the Earthshot Prize, an initiative aimed at tackling climate change. Yet every launch, gala and photo opportunity involves fleets of SUVs, private jets and luxury venues dripping with energy consumption. To people struggling with heating bills, food costs and real-world climate anxiety, this kind of environmental leadership feels like a parody. It's not leadership, it's optics. And the audience is done clapping for the performance. Even major environmental organizations have quietly voiced frustration over elite hypocrisy. A 2023 Nature study confirmed it. Public trust in climate advocacy collapses when messages come from high-emission figures. In short, you can't preach from a private jet. What's remarkable about this backlash isn't that it happened, it's who it came from. These weren't trolls or fringe critics. They were long-time royal supporters, older Brits, even moderate voices who've defended the monarchy for years. They're now saying, enough, because the illusion has cracked. The monarchy's magic used to be built on mystery. Distance made them seem dignified. But in the age of social media, distance looks like detachment. People see through the performance now. Every flight, every expense, every contradiction is public record. When William says, "We must do better," people hear, "You must do better, not us." And that double standard has become the defining flaw in the royal image. William's team likely saw COP30 as a perfect global stage to shape his statesman image. Calm, informed, forward-thinking. But what they underestimated was timing. The world isn't buying polished PR anymore. In 2025, authenticity has replaced authority. People would rather hear from flawed but genuine voices than from rehearsed perfection. Every gesture, every camera angle in William's Brazil trip screamed crafted image, and audiences today can sense when something's been manufactured. Even the speech itself sounded disconnected. Climate change is not a distant threat, he said, but for many it felt like a distant reality to him. Because it's hard to relate to the urgency of global warming when your lifestyle remains untouched by its effects. Here's where the story takes an interesting turn. As William's credibility erodes under the weight of overproduction, Harry and Meghan's resonance grows. Not because they're perfect, but because they're real. When Harry speaks about mental health, he references lived experience. When Meghan discusses equality or compassion, it's not branding, it's biography. They've faced the consequences of media cruelty and institutional pressure. So when they talk about empathy, it carries emotional truth. That's what authenticity looks like. Imperfection backed by integrity. Meanwhile, William's royal machinery keeps trying to brand his leadership. Earthshot, photo ops, speeches, all attempts to manufacture relatability. But relatability can't be manufactured. It's either lived or it isn't. This backlash isn't just about one speech. It's symbolic of something bigger. A moral bankruptcy inside traditional institutions. For decades, the monarchy relied on emotional loyalty. But emotional loyalty dies when people feel disrespected. Every tone-deaf appearance, every performative statement chips away at that trust. And once trust is gone, PR can't rebuild it. The public's reaction to William's COP30 appearance is a warning shot, not just for him, but for every elite who still believes reputation can outpace accountability. Because the truth is, people don't want palaces lecturing them about sacrifice. They want transparency, humility, and genuine change. William's trip to Brazil was supposed to solidify his future as the monarchy's modern face. Instead, it revealed its greatest weakness, a total inability to read the room. He flew in to sound like a savior. He left sounding like a symbol of everything wrong with elite leadership. And the public noticed. In the end, his speech didn't make him a global statesman. It made him a global meme. Because in the age of information, hypocrisy travels faster than PR. And as people continue to compare his performative activism with the genuine compassion of Harry and Meghan, the gap between image and integrity keeps widening. So where does this leave the monarchy? Stuck between the past and the present. It can no longer depend on blind reverence or polished speeches. The new generation demands authenticity, and that's something you can't rehearse. William's speech was meant to inspire hope for the planet, but it ended up revealing something even more urgent: the need for truth. Because without honesty, no institution, royal or otherwise, can survive public scrutiny. And that's the irony of COP30. It wasn't just about the climate crisis. It was a crisis of credibility. William may have flown to Brazil to warn of tipping points, but the real tipping point might be public trust in the monarchy itself. Once that's gone, no crown, no campaign, and no speech can bring it back.